Yeah, I love that moment in the beginning when you're like, you just start living more like an oil exec, and he's like, "We're on a private jet." Like, what do you mean?
You are president of an oil company. It's time you start living like it.
We're on a fucking Gulf Stream. I am living
Yeah, I
it.
mean, we're flying back to our fucking frat house in Midland.
It was so funny, and then she's like, and I'm gonna be all alone. You know what I'm saying? Because you work all the time. Like she just kind of spirals, but I just love that about her so much because she says what most people think. She doesn't have a filter. So it's like, she's like, you've got this job. And then she's like, he's got the job. Like it really is an unfiltered, emotional whirlwind.
Ali, thank you so much for taking your time with us today on the movie podcast. I'm just a massive fan of your work. I've been watching your movies since I was a little kid. Movies that I probably shouldn't have been watching that young, but it's so awesome to finally be talking to you now.
Thank you so much. And thanks for taking the time. We're really proud of the show and we're excited to be here and talk to you about it.
Absolutely. I was so excited to find out that we were getting a season 2 for Landman because while watching the show, despite everything that's kind of happening in it, there's always like a comfort when you're just kind of watching it. And I always get so glad when Angela and Ainsley's stories kick in because I'm like, my God, everything that's happening right now, I think I need some fun for a bit.
I think that one of the biggest surprises for us is that this did become like a global hit. And I think that that's due to the fact that there are so many different tones within our show. So you have those like, high humor, comedic scenes, with Angela and Ainsley. And then you have, these really deep dramatic moments, with Cooper. And then you have like this romance and like wild, eccentric love story between Tommy and Angela. So our show really goes to a lot of different places and it keeps the audience, I think, like not always expecting what's next. And I think that's one of Taylor's true gifts is understanding what an audience wants. And I think that that's what our show does by having so much within it.
Absolutely. I have to agree with you on that. And then when you found out that you were going into season 2, what excited you most about getting to explore Angela?
So the first season, we had all 10 episodes. So it was like, it was exciting, it was challenging, but I was able to kind of map it out a little bit. This season, we only had a couple episodes going in. And so we didn't know the true path of where the season was going to end. But for me, like we did so much work like with the family last year and understanding our dynamics and our chemistry. And Taylor leaned into the family this season. So it was pretty much like you could drop Tommy and Angela anywhere in the world and like you could land us on our feet because we know who we are as these characters, and it really in a beautiful way just it's a kind of a heartbreaking and a heartwarming season. We really have such special moments in it. And, you're still going to get, the comedy because Taylor doesn't let you sit in it for too long. Like as soon as it becomes like a charged emotional moment, he's going to cut it, and move you into like, the old folks or whatever it is. Or as soon as that becomes too much, he's going to move you into the boardroom and then the board, so it's really, I think that all those different tones.
Love that. And love that you touch upon Taylor as well, because, like you said, he's had so many different projects and so many things he's worked on. And I'm sure there's a breadth of experience coming from him. Is there a particular note that he's ever given you that's just kind of stuck with you and like propelled you forward?
There's no such thing as big if you have emotional depth.
Damn, that's hard. That's really good. That's really good.
It's
I'm going to use that on my wife and see how that works out. And, I'll report back. What I love so much also is like whenever we're seeing Angela and Ainsley's story, they're always so much fun. Like I said, that's happening. Do you feel like you and Michelle kind of keep that same energy off the set or on the set when you guys are not recording?
I do. I mean, I think what's special about our show is that we all do have amazing chemistry. And like John Papsadera and Taylor are incredible. They cast the show and they know somehow that all of this is going to work. And, me and Michelle, we lived in the same apartment building the first season and, we became just really close friends because there wasn't a lot of hand holding on this show. And, it is a very like, masculine, male dominant, kind of situation. And for us, it was like, how do we find our voice? And we did. But there was something about having a true friendship down there that let it all become really, really special.
Did you guys end up actually partying really hard with the seniors?
We love that. We love all those actors. And the fact that, like, I think also going into the second season, we know what the audience loves and they love being able to laugh, and like they know as soon as you see us walking in there, there's going to be something that we're getting up to, we're going to be getting up to something.
And there's this show is constantly teaching me, I think, about the good, the bad, and the ugly of the oil industry and the gas industry. When you're doing research into this world, what kind of surprised you most about it?
Well, the show started from a podcast called Boomtown that Christian Wallace did, and I think that that's one of the reasons the show feels so authentic is because it's true in his world. Like, Christian has family from West Texas and Midland, Odessa. He interviewed and spent a lot of time with all the men that are really on the oil rigs, and so when you feel that and see that on the show, like that's something that really, I think gives it again. There's so many parts of it, but that's something that really grounds the show.
You and Billy Bob, you can go from being so in love, like you said, and then explosive, like the next second. What does it feel like to kind of build that dynamic with him and with each other, really?
The first season, again, like we built this house. So we just spent time together and we really looked at how much a lot of the time they were fighting and it just wasn't round enough for us. There's so much more that goes into, a complicated relationship and that's what we were looking for. And this season, I mean, you see the complexities, of their marriage and the push and the pull. And that's what we really work on because that's what a real marriage is, especially if you're in one that's kind of oil and water. If you're in one that is an opposite of you, you have to really see each other and love each other for your differences and your flaws and allow someone to be themselves and also push them, and we get to that this season of Angela really wanting Tommy to step up and just be a great father and be a strong husband and take care of his family. And, like you see a lot of that this year.
Yeah, I love that moment in the beginning when you're like, you just start living more like an oil exec, and he's like, "We're on a private jet." Like, what do you mean? Like, that was hilarious.
It was so funny, and then she's like, and I'm gonna be all alone. You know what I'm saying? Because you work all the time. Like she just kind of spirals, but I just love that about her so much because she says what most people think. She doesn't have a filter. So it's like, she's like, you've got this job. And then she's like, he's got the job. Like it really is an unfiltered, emotional whirlwind.
Absolutely. I think it's like your unpredictability of this character where like you never know what you're gonna throw next or what you're gonna say next.
She could laugh, she could cry, she could throw a plate. You just don't know.
Love that. Ali, I'm just gonna be wrapping up here, but I did have a quick question for you. Something that I've always wondered when you did those first two Final Destination films, after seeing that highway moment, after seeing that log scene, did that ever like change your perception of driving or how you were when you're behind the wheel?
If I ever see it now, it gives me the shivers. It's so wild. Even when I'm on the plane and you hear it's like you're going to your final destination, like it still gets me. And I think that one of the things with those movies and that franchise is that you could never see evil. You could never see it. So it's like it's always around you and it's coming for you in any way. And I think that was why that movie was, really connected with young audiences. It was really fun to be part of that.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Like I said, I've been watching your stuff for so long, from Final Destination to Heroes, Legally Blonde, and so on and so forth. I'm so happy to see you in this show because it's so fantastic. And I hope we get so many seasons of this. So thank you again for your time and hope to talk again soon.
Thank you so much for
Thank
the
you.
time. Thank you.